Well, David Weiss has told a court that they expect to indict Hunter Trump before the end of this month, by September 29th, required to tell the court under the Speedy Trial Act, and most people are surmising it must be the gun violation. Two quick things about this, then I want to move on. Abby Lowell is a defense counsel. He's actually pretty damn good. And he's already said out there several weeks ago that when it comes to the gun issue, they already entered into a diversion agreement, that Hunter Biden has complied with the diversion agreement, that he's met the conditions for pretrial release, and that the government's not free now to go back on the diversion agreement, regardless of what the overall deal did or did not do. It was agreed to by the U.S. Attorney's Office. It was agreed to by the Department of Justice. It was agreed to by this one and that one. So he's got an interesting argument. But that's not where my head is. If they're going to indict Hunter Biden and indict him on the gun charge, Mr. Producer in America, that doesn't lead to Papa Bear, does it? See, my mind's always moving. The wheels are always moving. I know what everybody else is talking about, the diversion agreement. Why? Because defense counsel mentions the diversion agreement. I don't know what he's going to be indicted for, neither does anybody else. But if he's not indicted for the FARA violations, tax violations that may still be available, since the statute of limitations ran on the biggest ones and so forth, then his father, Joe, will not be drawn into this. Do you understand what I'm saying? You do, right, Rich? Rich is eating a steak sandwich. He's very busy, choking down a cheesesteak. But you folks understand, regardless of what Rich doing, right? Just messing around with Rich. But that's the point. The point is that this is the most harmless indictment that can be brought. That defense counsel has an argument, I don't know if it's persuasive, but an argument to make, certainly is not to be dismissed on its face. But defense counsel has no argument to make on the failure to register as a foreign agent, which in my view would drag in his daddy as a co-conspirator who knew that his son was doing foreign business, who helped him do foreign business, even if he didn't receive one damn red cent, CNN and MSNBC, it would still be a federal offense. So that's the beginning and the end of it. The rest of it's speculation. So I don't want to spend forever on it, but the rest of it is speculation. But there are other things going on in the country, a lot of other things. You want to know why Donald Trump can't get a fair break in front of any of these Democrat judges? Take a look at New York today, just today. New York judge, writes Newsmax, denies Trump request to delay trial. A New York State judge today denied Donald Trump's request to delay the start of a scheduled October 2 trial in Attorney General Letitia James's civil fraud lawsuit, accusing the former president, his family, and the Trump organization of inflating the value of his assets. Now, why couldn't the judge put that off? Well, he could have. Judge Arthur F. Engoron is a Democrat hack. He could have easily put it off. Trump's lawyers late Tuesday asked the judge to briefly delay the trial until 3 weeks. Just 3 weeks. After he ruled on both sides' requests for summary judgments, which seek victory on various legal issues without the need for a trial. A trial of this magnitude should not begin in chaos, his attorneys wrote. The court and the defendants are entitled to know the claims and issues to be tried sufficiently in advance to prepare adequately for trial. Now let's step back. So you have motions for summary judgment by both sides. In other words, we win, You look at the law, you look at the facts, there's no way we can lose. That's the prosecution. Defense says, we win. Look at the law and the facts. There's no way they can win. So these motions are filed, and they're waiting for the judge to issue his ruling. And so rationally, logically, Donald Trump's lawyers say, well, until you rule on this, how are we even supposed to prepare for this trial? They said, so let's wait 3 weeks till you decide these decisions. These are momentous. Judge says, no, let's start the trial. Let's start the trial. Isn't that amazing? Now, maybe I went to Temple University Law School, but I think I got a pretty good legal education. And whether I did or not, I've been practicing law now, let's see, since I was 23. Soon to be 43 years. Going to be 66 soon. That's frightening, but nonetheless. I've never heard of an idiot judge who would rule like this. No, I never have. In a separate filing, Trump also asked that James withdraw what he called her frivolous motion to sanction the defendants and their lawyers $20,000 for continuing to raise arguments that the judge has rejected. James is seeking at least $250 million and to bar Trump and his sons from leading their family business. If you're running a business in New York and you're Republican, you better get the hell out of there. You better get the hell out. What's the point? You have to hope you're not mugged on your way to your office. They're taxing the crap out of you. They're auditing you endlessly. They're looking for ways to drag you into court where you can spend the next 10 years of your life, maybe even into prison. The Attorney General of New York should be disbarred. She ran for that post, as you know. Ran for that post, telling voters, would-be voters, that she was going to indict Donald Trump. But apparently in New York, that's okay. It's okay to do that if you're a Democrat. Apparently, according to the New York City Bar, the New York State Bar, the highest court in New York, go for it. It's all right. Let's move on. Back to New York City. Same day. A federal judge found Trump liable for defaming the writer E. Jean Carroll by denying in 2019 that he had raped her, and said jurors will decide only how much Trump owes in damages. So there the judge did, in effect, issue a summary judgment and said to Trump before trial, guilty. Guilty. There's nothing you can say that allows you to really defend yourself. What you did is indefensible. You're guilty. Now we're going to have a trial on how much you owe. What? Oh, yes. What do you think of that, Mr. Producer? So this is the E. Jean Carroll defamation case. The judge rules on his own from the bench that Trump is guilty. Judge Lewis Kaplan, another leftist, said the upcoming trial for Carroll's civil lawsuit against Trump will only deal with the question of how much the former president should pay in monetary damages. Now, you know, in May, a Manhattan federal court, a jury ruled that no, Donald Trump is not found guilty of rape. And yet that's all he was accused of. They said, but he did sexually abuse Carroll. A lesser included offense? No, it's not a lesser included offense on rape. In fact, ladies and gentlemen, it wasn't even an allegation in the case. It was rape or no rape. But the jury decided to split the baby. They didn't see enough evidence for rape, but they feel he must have sexually abused her. Donald Trump says, I've never met that woman in my life. This case is brought years and years and years after the alleged non-rape occurred, because New York changed its statute of limitations as applies to these kinds of allegations. And as has been reported, Ms. Carroll met George Conway at some event, some party. Apparently they were talking, and as I understand it from some report, you can check it or not, Conway said, well, you still have a case. She seemed a little flustered and surprised. And then somehow, a Democrat donor, one or more, decided to help fund her litigation. And that's how that case got off the ground. The allegation goes back to the mid-1990s. Mid-1990s, America. So Trump is guilty, they find, of not rape, but of some kind of sexual abuse. And then he lashes out again, and she says, okay, I'm suing you a second time. And apparently when she made her comments public in 2019, when she went public with her rape allegations. So federal Judge Lewis Kaplan, a leftist, he rules there's no point in having a trial on the facts here. I mean, Trump did what he did. I'm looking at the record. I'm looking at the filings. Guilty. You're guilty. 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 And we are going to have a trial, but really to determine how much you're going to pay this woman. What do you think of that, America? You won't hear that explained anywhere else in the country. TV, radio, shortwave radio, flying pigeon. You won't hear a damn thing about this. Not as I've explained it, because it's sickening. Now on to the criminal cases, right? Can't wait for those, can we?